this is Daphne Valsin, leadership and business coach. Today I'm going to talk to you about your bounce back strategy, the art of resilience in the midst of challenges. This is for anyone who has felt like it's been a challenge to push past different things that have happened professionally, personally. Maybe there's something that you're wanting to do, wanting to pursue, whether it's a relationship, a certain kind of lifestyle, a dream, a vision. But you've really had to figure out how to push past certain things on the way to those goals. So I want to give you all some practical strategies about how you can actually push forward to your goals despite the things that you might be experiencing. And I want to start out with a story about a little girl. This little girl was raised in rural Mississippi to a teen mother, and that teen mom was extremely poor. As a little girl, this person would be dressed in dresses that were made of potato sack cloths. So the kids at school would laugh at her. She eventually became a teen mother, and she gave birth to a child who died in its infancy. So of course, this person had a very hard upbringing, a lot of challenges when she was young. And some would say that maybe her life was going to go down a terrible path. But the exact opposite happened. At the age of 41, the same person had a net worth of $800 million. She became the richest African American in the 20th century. And she received honorary doctorates from Duke and Harvard University. That woman is Oprah Winfrey. And then there's also J.K. Rowling, which we all know from Harry Potter. I'm not sure if you knew it, but when she was 7 years out of college, she felt like she was a failure. She was receiving state benefits. She had a daughter and was a single mom at the time. She was depressed and contemplated suicide. She had to go around to different cafes to write, and she wrote to try to get through her loss, her depression, her feelings of sadness in the midst of her situation. When she first proposed her book to publishers, she was turned down by 12 publishers, and the publisher that actually accepted her manuscript told her that she might as well get a day job because she would never make a good living off of being a children's author. And J.K. Rowling became the world's first billionaire author. So her ability to push past those obstacles, to practice resilience, actually allowed her to be extremely successful. And I know those are celebrity examples, but all of us have experiences that we've gone through, that we've pushed through in order to be successful, in order to be happy, in order to experience peace or prosperity. And if you look around you, there are people all over the world who have gone through family challenges, who have gone through rough patches in life, whether it's in their career, financial challenges, medical challenges, but have been able to push through. What they have in common is resilience. There was someone who I was mentoring at one point, a young man who was on the phone with me, and he was telling me about his experiences, family challenges, other challenges he had been experiencing while in college. He told me that those experiences had really impacted his academic achievement. And at one point, he began to cry because they had so badly impacted what he felt was his future. And after empathizing with him and really trying to encourage him and make him feel better, I explained to him that he had to develop his bounce back strategy. And I'm telling you that I all need to constantly be working on developing our bounce back strategy, our ability to bounce back from the challenges that we're experiencing in life. What do I mean by that? I'm talking about resilience. I can and will rewrite my story, believing that I have a choice to do something different, understanding that I will have a testimony to tell about this challenge right in the midst of my challenge. So there's two things that I want to talk to you about during this video that are going to help you to practically push past your challenges. One is stop, look, and go. The other one is analyze, release, and move forward. So first I'm going to talk about stop, look, and go. So I was raised in a family where I had a lot of family members who taught me to be very protective of everything. So family members who said, when you're at the gas station, lock all your doors, take your purse, hold it tight while you're pumping gas. Family members who said, hey, don't wear that piece of jewelry if you're gonna go into this neighborhood or do this kind of thing. Family members who were like, put your book bag in the trunk of the car before you leave to get to whatever destination you're trying to get to. So one of the things that those family members taught me was when you're at a stoplight, you want to look all around you and see what's going on in all of the cars that are next to you, because you just never know who's next to you. After you stop, you look around, then you go, of course, when the light turns green, right? So this is what I want to tell you. That is similar to how we should be focusing on how we address challenges, stopping, looking, and then going. So when I say stop, I mean be still. Sometimes we're moving so fast that what we really need to do is just stop and be still. And once we stop, we need to look. We need to look around us and see, who is it that we have in our circle of influence? What are the things that we're doing that are impacting how our lives are going? What am I thinking about myself and my life that is impacting where I'm at now and my ability to bounce back from where it is that I'm going, right? So then you have to think about what you have the power to change as you're looking around. And then you need to go. You need to analyze. Do I need to shift my friend circle and then make it happen? You might need to start hanging around a group of people who inspire you, joining organizations like Toastmasters, or a women's empowerment group, or men's empowerment group, or a Facebook group, or a LinkedIn group that's going to take you to where you need to go. Maybe you need to be getting a certification. You need to go. You need to move forward. So stop, look, and go. And when I think about that, I also think about a story of when I was in Kenya. So I was in rural Kenya, and I was in a neighborhood that was very poor, but the people in the neighborhood, the kids in the neighborhood, were so excited about life, and they had such a huge imagination that would just take them to places they had never gone, allow them to experience things that they might not experience, right, during that time. So one time I saw these kids playing a game, and it was a really cool soccer game, but I realized there was no ball. These kids were playing an imaginary soccer game. So they had this huge imagination. So one day, one of the kids that I was with, who was the child of the person I was staying with, he was 4 years old. He said, Daphne, let us play a game. And he said, look up. And I looked up, and then he started running. He said, run. And so then we're running, we're walking fast with our heads looking up, and what I realized was that was actually such a thrilling and exciting game. Just looking up and walking fast or running is actually pretty thrilling. You should try it. But the challenge with looking up and moving forward is that you start bumping into people. You start bumping into things that you don't want to walk into. You can get hurt even if you keep doing that for a prolonged period of time, right? So when it comes to life, it's the same. If you are moving forward, but you're not looking around, you're not looking forward, you're not knowing where exactly you're going, you're going to start bumping into people who you don't want to bump into. You're going to start bumping into situations that you have no business being in. You're going to start being lost because you're not moving forward in the direction that you need to be going. You have to look where you're going. You have to set reasonable goals for your future, and you have to even push the envelope and be a little bit out of the box when it comes to those goals, in my opinion. The thing with goals, because people say, why set goals if I don't know if I can reach them? People who are the most successful all have goals, and even if they don't achieve those goals, they're moving forward steadily in a certain direction, and I personally think that's why they tend to be more successful. They have their eyes on the prize. They're practicing perseverance. They're practicing resilience as they continue to move forward in a way that's laser focused. So you really have to stop, look, and go when it comes to your life. And I'm just looking over here at my notes so I make sure I cover everything I want to cover for you. So here's an action that you can write down. Take the time to define what are the biggest 3 things that you want to accomplish in your life. And that's going to help you to figure out what direction you need to be going in when it comes to your life. And if you are spiritual, you're religious, you want to have those three things also be in alignment with your vision and your values and your character. The next thing I was going to talk about is analyze, release, then move forward. So when I was younger, a number of things in my life could have set me on the wrong path. I had people who I cared about who made me believe that I was not good enough, I was not pretty enough, I was too big, I was too small. I just was very self-conscious and had a lower self-esteem because of those things. So what happened as a result of those things is that I was operating in fear. There were conversations that I could have had with amazing people that I never had because I was afraid. There were job opportunities that I could have pursued that I did not pursue because I was in fear, because I wasn't experiencing the confidence that would allow me to be able to move forward and do the things that I knew I could do. And at that point, I wouldn't even say that I felt like I could really do those things. I didn't feel capable. Graduated from high school with a 5.15 GPA. And I remember having a conversation with the director of one of the programs at my high school who didn't know that I had such a high GPA and who assumed that I was a student who was not doing well, maybe. So I told her that I wanted to apply to Columbia and Harvard and NYU. And she called some other teachers over and she laughed at me. She laughed at me. And I did not apply to any one of those schools, not one. That was just one example of how I allowed someone to impact the whole trajectory of my life. But we know I'm Christian and I believe that everything happens for a reason. God puts everything together in his perfect plan. And so thank God, for that. But that was a situation where I allowed someone else to define what I felt like I could do. And that's not what we are to do. So how do you analyze, release, and move forward? And how did I do that? When it came to the analyzing piece, I had to figure out where did my challenges come from when it came to my confidence. What would happen if I continued to operate in fear, in being self-conscious? How would that impact my purpose to give back to the community if I wasn't able to do the things that I was called to do because I was in fear? And I had to ask myself the question as I analyzed, would I allow others to determine my path? Even people who I didn't know to determine my path? And the answer was no. So I want you to analyze. Write down what's one thing that is hindering you from achieving the goals and the vision that you have for your life. The second thing I had to do was release. So for me, release meant letting things go. It meant not replaying things in my mind. It meant forgiving those individuals who I felt maybe had hurt me or who had put me down in the past, and not allowing them to control my life through not forgiving them, for lack of forgiveness, right? So for you, the action here is, what is one major thing you need to do to release a life circumstance and the impact that it's had on you? What is one major thing you need to do to release a life circumstance and the impact that it's had on you? And then the third thing I had to do was to move forward. So for me, moving forward meant taking risks. It meant pushing past hesitation when I was hesitating to do the things that would allow me to get over the hump of thinking about something and get into the realm of action, of taking action when it came to my life. That's how I got to Kenya. I went past hesitation. Should I go on this trip by myself? And I went to Kenya for over a month and had an amazing time. I had to, in order to move forward, I had to do things scared. I had to do it scared. Whatever it is I wanted to do it scared. And one example of that is me meeting my husband. When I met my husband, I was at a conference. He was on a panel. And I just felt like I was supposed to go up to this man who I had no romantic interest in, but I wanted to go up to him and just acknowledge him and tell him that he was doing a good job in the work that he was doing. I was totally scared, of course, but I felt like it was the right thing to do. I felt like it was what I was supposed to do. I had no idea that would be my husband. He liked me after I went up to him. Had a crush, yep. So anywho, so that was how I was able to move forward. So for you, I want you to think about what it is that you need to do to move forward. That one thing, what's the one most major thing you can do, maybe even in the next 30 days, in order to move forward? And I want you to think about this, especially when it comes to people who have impacted our life's trajectory in a negative way. Sometimes we make people have the starring role in our lives when they are merely the extras. I said sometimes we make people have the starring role in our life when they are merely the extras. We make them the main event of fill in the blank, that's your name, of your life, right? And that's not where they should be. You are the starring role. You're in the starring role of your life. And if you are spiritual and religious, God is actually in that starring role. But not this person who the boss, the family member who may have hurt you or who may have put you down, or even the prospective client, someone you may have wanted to sell to. When I started my business, I had a number of people who said to me, sometimes directly, sometimes from afar, that I was not going to be successful. I refuse to make those people have a starring role in my story. And I pray that you have the power within you to not allow people to have that starring role in your story either. I just wanted to make sure I said that. And if there's a tragic event in your life that you feel is playing that starring role, I want you to think, what is the most inspiring thing that can come from this event happening in my life, no matter how tragic it was? What is the most inspiring thing that can come from this event that has happened in my life, no matter how tragic it was? And then I want you to move forward. I want you to move forward. And moving forward may mean that you are incorporating other individuals who can help you, professionals, therapists, coaches, people who are inspiring you, people who can help you create a plan of action, a blueprint. Maybe that is a family member. Maybe it's a friend, a best friend from the past. Develop your dream team so that you can not only stop, look, and go, but you can analyze, release, and move forward and have a bounce back strategy and practice resilience. I hope you enjoyed this. Comment below if you did, if you got something from it. Bye.